The knowledge that someone has died allows you to say goodbye. It provides a social support system for us and other friends and family members. It allows us to search for the meaning of life and death, and it offers continuing and hope for the living. Yep. A meaningful funeral ceremony is a rite of passage to help us move from life before death to life after death. The funeral provides a safe place to express our feeling of loss. Original funeral home, which was a partnership, which was Melvin and Butler Funeral Home, was my dad and a business partner, opened up in October of 1970. It was a little two-story house, which was across town, and I was probably 13 years old. I won't ever forget it because at the time preparing to open, within 2 weeks of the opening, my granddad died, who was my dad's father. So he was the first person that we buried. Was my granddad. And I remember me and my brother sometime, we grew up, as he got older in his 80s, so we just questioned about stuff. I remember I asked one time about slavery, and he said that I remember him telling me, he said that his granddad was a slave. He was born in 1882, but his daddy was born a free man. I remember my granddad. When he died, I was like 13. At that age, you're curious, and of course you're all a little nervous. You don't understand a lot of the dynamics. All you knew you were dealing with dead, being around dead folks and things like that. But once you get that out of your system, by the time I was 16 or 17, I'd seen numerous of dead bodies, and been through the embalming room, seen bodies dressed, had been out on funerals and things. And by the time I got to college, I was looking in more so then looking at the business aspect of it. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about your dad and where he grew up and
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He grew up on a farm outside of Clinton and called pretty much the Honeycutt Township. I always tell this story. I've been telling a lot for the last few months because we still have our family farm. And I've got the original deed in one of my files where my granddad actually bought the first plot of land for our family farm. My granddad bought 14 acres in 1906 for $140. And I've got the original deed. And that is still in our family because on our farm, we have a couple of houses. My brother stays in the house that we grew up in, my mom and dad's farmhouse. And I have a older sister, that remodeled the original house on that Fort named Granddad house, and she stays there. So he grew up over there, and like I said, his first trade, he always tell the story, he only went to school 7 years, formal education, because after 7 years in the county, the schools didn't have high school. You had to go to the city and want no buses. Yeah. So he went to the 7th grade, and he said at 16 or 17, he picked up a trade of start cutting hair, and got good at it. And
this is your granddad?
This is my dad.
This is your dad.
And then he went to Raleigh, he said, and got licensed barber. And he started cutting hair at the military base, Fort Bragg and Camp Lejeune. So he got married, and at that time, came back to the farm, started farming with my granddad, but he was still cutting hair. And that's when he came over to Roseboro, he and our cousin, and opened a barbershop over here. That was the connection, Roseboro. That had to be in the 40s. And he had a barbershop here from the 40s to the 50s. And it's an elementary school here in Charles E. Perry School.
Yeah.
Okay, the principal was Reverend Perry. My dad's, he sold Reverend Perry. He was a barber too. He sold him a barbershop that he owned. He had a barbershop in Fayetteville also. So he sold